So yeah, for anybody new, LookyLOO was founded as a hub for people who are considering and planning a move. It's a place where you can search for and find cities that meet your criteria, but it also serves as a workspace when you begin that journey. Moving is complicated and you need help both in identifying places that make sense for you to move, but you also need a platform for helping you navigate all the decisions you have to make, sharing those, all the complexities that come with moving. When we started, we had this hypothesis that everything had changed. Accelerated by COVID, but already in place, longer lifespans, changing economics of families being able to buy in big cities. There was already movement pre-COVID in terms of this space and people needing to understand things differently. That, COVID obviously dramatically accelerated because we became untethered for a lot of us from our workplace. Everything changed. And so, some people were moving to, save money and buy a home, some to find better education opportunities, most to find a better match for either their economic or personal lifestyles. And we built LookyLOO to serve those communities. But what we realized along the way were two big things. The first was that in this new world, cities and regions were becoming products. Before, everything was about pull in the retail sense, if people know the retail marketing world, meaning that I need a job. New York's where the jobs are. New York is this gravitational force pulling me to that city. Or, I'm working tech and San Francisco is this irresistible, magnet pulling me into that city and I have no choice in the matter. Or Detroit in automotive, or whatever these, gravitational pulls were happening. And in the untethering, we realized that it was starting to become a push world, that the consumer had started to take control of the decision-making process. And I'm going to get to choose if I want a city with great walkability, if I want one with interesting culture. I can pretty much choose any city they want that meets the criteria I have. But they had no platform for comparing those cities. So if I want to, live in a city that has, a certain economic framework, that has a certain cultural opportunity, I'm basically winging it. I'm going by word of mouth. I don't have any, place to compare. We were working with an influencer. She's young and she lives in DC and she was looking for a new place to live. And she had like 6 different criteria: certain cost of living, certain size, and certain political characteristics. Again, she had about 6 of them. And we had when we launched, we had really focused on California and New York. That was the focus. And so we were considering doing a campaign with her. And she goes, I'm not moving to California and New York. She goes, the kind of cities I like are like Burlington, Vermont, or Portland, Maine, or Bend, Oregon. And she said, but I want to know all of them. I want to know all the cities that have those characteristics. And really, pre-LookyLOO, there wasn't a place you could go. There wasn't a marketplace for cities. All the other considered purchase products out there, computers, automotive, real estate, college, they all have robust places where you can go and you can use filters to find ones that meet your criteria, and you can pair them, and you can get reviews, and you can get all the details you need in order to make smart decisions. And when it came to cities, there was nothing. You might go to a travel site if you were being a tourist, but if you were considering moving or starting a business or moving a business, again, you were out of luck. And that was crazy because cities had become products that people got to make really smart decisions and they were in control of, which, as I said, frankly, they weren't in control of before. Big shift. The process and the platforms that existed to help you solve this issue were gone. And that's really the second thing, is that cities, historically, they ran alongside economic opportunities, tourism, some degree of economic development. The city just kind of had no role in the process. They lived as a sideline to all these other businesses. And unlike other considered purchases, they had no home. There was no marketplace for cities. And that's really what we wanted to solve. And what we realized during this process, through talking to a lot of cities and economic development groups and destination management organizations, that it was time for there to be a marketplace for a city, because every city had some kind of need. If you had a population boom, you needed nurses and healthcare professionals. If you were, making a recovery from textile or agriculture or automotive declines, but you were making investment You needed general population growth. Or if you had an aging population, but you craved a younger population, maybe you needed entrepreneurial growth. Whatever it was, every city wanted to pull some kind of lever to drive growth and had no platform to do it. They were completely on their own. And that's really what we saw changing in this idea of cities becoming products, cities needing to market, and that we had a solution that could help them, called City Corner. And this is really, if you think about LookyLOO as a place where we have an editorial product and we give our review of cities, we then have a section where we have locals give their review of the city. And the third one, that is a good marriage to those three, is an opportunity for the city to tell its story. And that story can be economic, it can be cultural, it can be lifestyle, it can be, whatever story, within reason that the city wants to tell about itself. But it can also be employment. Again, it can be whatever lever it is that the city wants to pull to drive some kind of growth. It can do within that city corner, and it can then do, and this is something that's coming, eventually in a self-serve way in terms of running an advertising campaign and pulling those levers. So we identified a core list of cities that we felt had characteristics that matched, that would be very obvious to them why LookyLOO could help. And again, the characteristics tended to be, they were in areas that had suffered some kind of decline. Worcester in the textile space, Michigan in the automotive space, the West Coast like Modesto and Stockton in the agricultural space. So they had suffered some, and so they wouldn't, when we would call them, they wouldn't say, no, everything is great, but they were on the comeback trail. They had, had a city bond that had raised capital to do development. They had, a marketing interest in growing in some aspect. Could it be economic development, could be population growth. It could be, like in the case of Worcester, it's dual, because they're on the edge of central Massachusetts. And so they have, multiple goals. And we've been doing outreach to them, direct sales to these cities. And we've found, for those types of cities, it's a relatively smooth path to having the conversation and getting a campaign, underway. Yeah, no, we've been really happy. I mean, our ultimate target for the raise was 500K, and we're at, just under 400K, and we would expect by August 23rd to have hit that 500K mark. There's still, the early bird special is still available for people who are interested in investing. And, all that revenue is really going towards product development and business development. So, we're excited about it. And, WeFunder's been a good platform. If anybody's ever looking for a crowdfunding platform to consider, it's been a good place to, meet people from realtors to, professional investors who are looking in this space. I think everybody is really excited about interest rates going down a bit. And what I think the category believes is a pent-up demand for moves. And so we're excited about being well-positioned and frankly, of having a little more breathing time while the real estate market has been, felt a teeny bit frozen, but which everybody anticipates it, as soon as we get down to 5%, I think that's a real thing. And I think we're excited that we've been in the development stage, while the interest rates have really provided a bit of a moat in terms of competition. So.